Hello and welcome to ReelDealEV. Today we're going to be going over how to install a Stealth trailer hitch on a Tesla Model 3. So the first thing you're going to do is open up your trunk, obviously. And then you got your hitch in there. And now the next thing you're going to do is there's these two plastic nuts. They're also the stoppers for the trunk stop, but they hold the top of the tail lights to the stud that sticks up from the body. So you take those two out, and then the next thing you're going to do is there's two push pins inside of here. So hang on, you're going to go for a little ride. If you get motion sickness, close your eyes here. I was trying to edit this out, but I couldn't do it without skipping over a bunch of parts. I'm still learning this whole editing thing. But they're going to be up in both the corners. So there's the one on the right hand side. And there's the one on the left hand side. Just your standard push pins. So you're going to take your flat tip screwdriver, put it in the middle of it, pry it out. That'll pull out the center, and then you'll pull out the remaining plastic piece, and then that whole plastic piece will come loose. So there's the right side. Come on over to the left side. There's the part number for the Stealth Hitch, if you wanted to take a look at it, SHR09001. So the next thing you're going to do is take off your carpet or pull your carpet back. And this is going to give you access to the plugs and the two 8mm nuts that you're going to take off. So hang on for the little ride here. Sorry about the camera work. All right, and so now we're in place. So now you're going to peel back your carpet, and you're going to see the plug on top. So it's got a red tab. So I should have just taken that screwdriver and just pushed that red tab just straight towards the front of the car, and that would have loosened it up. So if you just push that red tab forward, that's what loosens it. So on this other side, you can't really see it because the red tab is actually on the back side, but I just basically pull the thing forward with my finger. All right, so now, oh, sorry, I had to adjust this light real quick. It was starting to fall out. So you're gonna take your nuts, take them off. Oh, not yet. There we go, now it should be loose enough. So take off these two 8mm nuts. Don't drop them down in the crevice of the trunk area. You'll have to fish them out with a magnet. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to grab your taillight and you're going to pull it kind of up and out. That way you don't drag it across the bumper when you get it to release. It takes a decent amount of force. Don't be scared. So yeah, you'll just grab it and kind of yank it out. What I was showing you on that last image there was there's two kind of locking pins that go into a plastic retainer. And that's why it's so hard to pull out. So the next thing you're going to do is take a 10mm socket, and you're going to pull out these two bolts that hold the rear bumper in place. Then you're going to go down to the fender wells. Now this is going to look a little different than your car. This gentleman had some mud flaps installed, and they were done with these screws. Where these screws went into the piece of plastic, you'll have push pins there. So there's going to be 3 push pins that are going to line the bottom of that. And then a 10mm, actually there's 2 10mm bolts right there. So as you can see, this mud flap was just collecting mud. So I'm going to get the vacuum and clean that out real quick. Always have a good clean workspace. So the next thing I'm going to do is remove one of the push pins. So there's actually another one back there, and I missed it, and I didn't edit it out of the video, so that way you can learn from my mistake. But there's 3 total push pins right there. I only pulled out the one from the mud flap, the other one that you saw me do, and then I didn't do the third one, and I'll show you that later on. But the next thing now is we're going to focus on this screw that holds the bumper together. It's a T27, so you're just going to take that screw out. And now, this guy had a really nice PPF wrap on the car. It was a little dirty, but it was still almost brand new. And so I wanted to make sure that I didn't nick up any of that PPF. So I taped it up real well and then did the other side. So again, removing the mud flap. If you do have these, there's little covers that go over it, and then there's little tiny Phillips head screws that go in to these little keepers to keep the mud flaps in place. Pretty neat little design, and then a 10mm screw on the bottom of them. So I pulled out that T27, and now I'm doing some more cleaning. Gotta have a clean workspace, you know? All right, so the next thing now, I pulled off that bottom push pin. Finished taping it off this. And now I'm gonna go underneath and remove, I think there is 8 10mm screws underneath of here. So you got the 2 on both sides behind the fenders, and then I'm guessing here, but I think 6 underneath. We'll just count them together, I guess. So there's 4, plus the ones on the side. So there's 6. And then 2 underneath of these little covers. So you take a flat tip screwdriver and just open up the cover and pull out those 2. So yeah, that was a total of 8. See, I can math. All right, so now everything's loose except for those 2 push pins that I told you that I was gonna miss. So now I'm working the bumper, kind of walking it around, and it falls off here. So luckily I had that blanket there, and now I'm showing you, see, I forgot that push pin. All right, so now I'm gonna remove that 1 push pin on both sides, and then from there, lift the bumper out and out of the way. So now the bumper is completely detached. Take it out of the way, go drop all the rocks that are out inside of it. All right, so now you're gonna remove all these 10mm bolts that go into this plastic tray. So there's a total of 5 of them, and I thought that it would be best to put it up and out of the way, so I put a screw back into it just loosely. But in fact, it's best to just let it dangle underneath of the bumper. So now we're taking off there's 3 15mm nuts that hold that crash bumper on there. So you're gonna take off the 3 on the left side, 2 on the right hand side. Once those are off, you're gonna pull the bumper out of the way. And now you can see this thing dangles down. Leave it there, don't do what I'm doing. I put it back up here thinking it would be better. It in fact was not better, so just let it dangle. All right, next thing you're gonna do is with your same 15mm impact, you're gonna take off this bumper plate. Pretty lightweight. I was kind of impressed that that was so thin. So you'll take off all 3 of those, 6 total, 3 on each side. Now the next thing you're gonna do is the new Hitch comes with nylon washers. So there's a total of, well, 6 for right here, and then you're gonna use some more on the next part. So put your 3 washers on each side. And this is just to create a distance between the 2 dissimilar metals. So you got the aluminum of the car, and then you got the steel bumper here, or the steel hitch, I'm sorry. So as you can see here, I'm trying to push that piece up and out of the way. And again, if it wasn't there, it would be a lot easier. So now I'm like, oh, maybe if I move this. So anyways, you'll put those 3 on there. And then I still thought it was best to keep it there, so I put the screw back in. So now you're going to put only 1 nut on both sides. Don't tighten it up all the way. You'll end up torquing this down, but you may need to move it here in the future. So Next thing you're going to do is you're going to take the provided brackets that come with the hitch and then the nuts. You're going to place the nuts on the inside, then a flat washer, and then the bolt. And in between the steel and the aluminum bumper, you're going to put another one of those nylon washers. So one side has 3, the other side has 2. You put those in, get those hand tight. Those were nylocks, so you can only, actually no, I take that back, they were not nylocks. And I'm not tightening these up all the way, I'm leaving these loose. So there I slid on the washer, bolt, and nylock. Now the nut's on the back side. There's no washer for the nut side. Leaving that loose, as you saw. So now you're going to lift it up into place. And again, I'm fighting with that that plastic piece up there with the wiring. Get it on one side, get it on the other side. And now you're gonna remove, or you're gonna use the previous bolts that you pulled out from there. Now I think, oh, this will be a lot easier if this is out of the way. So there you go. Learn from my mistakes. Now I found out that there's such tight tolerance that the cardboard was actually getting in my way there. So I pulled that cardboard off of there. And now I'm putting on the rest of these nuts onto the studs from the car. I tightened the other side up too tight without making sure that it was on, so I had to take that off. And now I got the other one on. Clumsy fingers. Trying to stay out of the way of the camera. That's my excuse. Alright, so the next thing we're going to do is take a tape measure, and you're going to measure from the bumper to the edge of the bracket. And it's going to be about 1 inch on each side. You want it to be centered. So now you're going to go ahead and start tightening up your bolts. You're not going to get these all the way tight yet because you're going to torque them down to 45 foot-pounds here in a minute. So yeah, you're going to go around, get them all snug, make sure that that 1 inch stays there. So now you're going to go around and tighten these all up to 45 foot-pounds. So these ones I'm turning right now are just spinning because I don't have a open end wrench on the other side. So just focus on the 3 that hold the bumper, or the Stealth Hitch to the back of the Tesla. So those 3 nuts. Now get yourself an open end wrench. I think it was an 11/16 if I'm not mistaken. Get an 11/16. Get those tightened down to 45 foot-pounds. So those 2 on that one, and then the 3 on the left-hand side. Probably could have sped this up a little bit more. Nice work. Good job. All right, so now we're going to put the plastic piece back up. Put the 5 screws back into it. You don't want to go over tight on these. It's just going into plastic. So next thing you're going to do is you're going to get the hitch block. So there's a couple different configurations for this. So this one here is going to come with an outside bracket that holds it on. This is the bracket. Took me a second to figure that out, but if you go kind of over the one side, you'll see me get it. That's how you got to do it. You're going to go kind of over and under. There, rotate it, and then it's there. And then you're going to slide these long bolts right through both sides. Another bracket for the other side. That one's pretty easy. And then you're gonna slide the other one in. So 2 bolts, 2 nylock washers. 2 nylock nuts. No washers. Now this one's going to get tightened down to 150 foot-pounds. Since it's got an eye locks, I just helped it along for the first part with the impact until I got it close. This is a pretty impressive chunk of steel here. I was very impressed with this Stealth Hitch. It went on pretty smoothly, tight tolerances, and pretty impressive. All right, now we're going up to 150 foot-pounds. So this one is a 15/16 opened end. And I think on the other side, I used a 24 millimeter, if I'm not mistaken. It'll show you in the instructions. All right, so now we got that tightened up down to 150 foot-pounds. We're going to fish this four-prong plug, the wiring for it, up around the bumper. You're trying to make this as clean as possible, so make sure you're wrapping it up nicely. Leave yourself plenty of slack. That little piece, I'm trying to stick the magnet. Apparently it's magnetic, but it didn't really seem all that magnetic to me. So now you're going to take a 3/8 drill bit and you're going to drill into this little rubber grommet over here. It ended up just popping out anyways. So take that, slide it in, put your wiring through there. Leave yourself enough slack. I pulled a little bit more than I should have. I ended up pulling some back here. I didn't need all that. So next thing you're gonna do, this changes on certain models. They don't all have this, but this is a power wire. If you don't have this power wire, you gotta run a power wire up to the front of the car. So this was really nice. It saved a decent amount of time. So you're gonna go through that same grommet with that power wire. Now it is live, so they tell you not to hook everything up until you actually have the wire in place so you don't ground it out and short something out. So I got the wire, pushed it through, kind of wrapped it around nicely, tucked it up with the other wire, and now I went ahead and plugged it in. Now I just make sure I don't hit anything with it. Don't want to ground it. So from here, I decided that I'd zip tie this around the bumper, 2 zip ties. All the zip ties were included in the kit. Get it nice and tight. And then I decided I wanted to do another zip tie to hold it to this other wiring over here. That way it's not bouncing around back there. Clip your ends off. Nice little clean install there. Although I now see, I wish I would have clipped off that bottom zip tie. Did you catch that? Rookie move, rookie move. All right, so now we're gonna go inside the back of the trunk and we're gonna work on making our wiring connections. So it's all pretty standard stuff. You got your green, yellow, brown, and white. It's gonna match up exactly to your green, yellow, brown, and white for your pulse modulation converter there. So now you're gonna take your butt connectors, make all your connections, put all your butt connectors on there, and then you're just gonna match the colors, white to white, brown to brown, and so on. Pretty easy. So then once you do that, you'll heat up the heat shrink to make a nice, clean, water-free connection. It's going to be inside the trunk anyways, but it's still nice. So once you get all that done, then you're going to focus on that power wire. That power wire is going to get picked up, that black power wire is going to get picked up by the black power wire on the control box there. And since it's all going to be right there in that same vicinity, I left like a foot of wiring on there. It comes with quite a bit. So you're going to strip both ends of the black wire and put a butt connector on there, but I messed up. There's a fuse that goes in right here, and I forgot about it until the next step. So this is how you make a connection, and then this is how you cut it. Because now I said, oh, I guess this has to go in here. So, oh well. So there, I cut the wire back off, and now I'm going to put the fuse in place. So just make sure you add that fuse in there. That way it'll pop in case something happens. So now I went to go grab a butt connector since I already used the one that they provided. Put that on, make a connection, make it nice and tight, and then heat it up. And then, so the next step is going to be taking that white wire, stripping that off, and then we're going to attach it to the ground over here, right behind the tail light. So take the wire, put the open-end terminal on there, and then I'm going to take a piece of double stick tape that they provide, slap that to the back of that modulator there, and then we're going to stick that down inside the bumper. And I'm just making sure our wiring is not all twisted. It looks like a mess, but it's actually organized. So we're going to take that and push that down inside the bumper, put it on the back of the bumper there. And then we have that white ground wire, so we're going to take that, and then there's you'll see a ground already in there, or a bolt that is grounds. Right, I'm getting my 10mm socket because it's a 10mm bolt. Taking that out, sliding it right in there with the other two grounds that were already there. Just make sure they're not all stacked up on each other, kind of spread them out. So now the next thing I had to do was there's a gray wire that kind of comes into confusion. And so that gray wire, I had to test it on this model because it was a 2023, and in 2023 there's some that are and some that aren't, but I was just showing you how you can test it for the brake. So I got my foot on the brake. This is obviously a 16-volt battery, so we're getting 15.4 volts when I press on the brake. So we needed that gray wire. So from here, we're going to take this red wire and we're going to attach it to that gray wire. And again, it's not used on most of the vehicles, but on this one it was, and that's why I had to test it. So the wiring, it's pretty long. And what I did here on the back, this is on the left side of the car. There's a piece of electrical tape from the factory that's wrapped around the wires. All I did was remove that one piece of electrical tape, just to get a little bit more exposure on the wires there. And when I did that, you're going to use those connectors that slide over an existing wire, so you don't have to cut into the wire, and then you just squeeze them together. So this red is going to go to that gray, and you're going to squeeze down with a pair of pliers to make sure that clicks and to make a connection. If it's too tight, then you may have a wire and it's trying to cut through it, so you don't want to do that. So I'm taking about 2 feet of this wiring off of there. It was a little long. They give you plenty. So now I'm going to take this yellow wire, and on this model, since it's a 2022, 2023, it's going to go to the red wire on that particular plug. If it was a 2017 to 2021, it'd be going to the purple wire. So we'll get that out of the way. The next thing we're going to do is take this brown wire. We're going to take the same distance off of that one as I did the other ones. And so this brown wire is going to go to the yellow wire. So it's getting a little crowded on this plug, and so I tried to stack them so that they weren't all in the same location and pushing against each other. So you don't have a ton of room to work on that wiring loom, but try to spread out your connectors so they're not all stacked on top of each other, because it's a decent amount of connections over there. You got 3 separate connections. And so then I just pulled that green one out of there, and now I'm kind of just wrapping the wires up. End up getting some electrical tape and wrapping these up. So the green one now I pulled out of that loom, because that green one is going to go off to the right turn signal, and on this vehicle it's going to go to the tan wire. So on a 2022 to 2023, it calls for a brown or a tan wire. And then on the 2017 to 2021, it calls for a red wire. So the green will go to red. And on my application, the green is going to go to the tan. So from here, I'm going to go ahead and finish up this wiring. And the rest of the video normally would be me putting everything back together. However, that footage is lost. So you're on your own. Now, if you've made it this far, you have a good understanding of what you're doing. You're just going to reverse everything you already did. Make sure you don't have any nuts and bolts left over. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Getting the bumper back on and aligned, it's a little bit tricky, but you just got to take your time and push it around and get it to clip over all the clips. So that's pretty much it. If you have any questions or need anything, reach out to us at chad@realdealev.com or hit us up at realdealev.com. Thanks.